Jeremy Wade caught the giant tigerfish that's also referred to as the giant piranha in the upper stream of the Congo River in Africa. Since this was footage of a TV program, he had to hold this monster carefully in order not to be bitten by its sharp teeth. Before we get to the main part of the episode, I suggest that we take a look at one extremely curious shot. The place, time, and circumstances under which this picture was taken remain unknown. However, it's enough to make one wonder. The photo shows several people working together to pull this monster out of the river. There are a lot of comments about who it could be and what the creature was doing in the river near the village. Some are convinced that the men fished out the progenitor of the megalodon. Others believe it's a mutated squid, while still others took the river monster for a still unknown to science species that still inhabits the waters of the world. And whom do you think this creature resembles more? Write in the comments. Huge dragon. It was with these two words that the eyewitnesses in the following story described the mysterious creature they managed to film. Although, as you can see now, it's quite likely that it wasn't a snake at all. A creature with an elongated and wriggling body swam not too far from the shore and greatly alarmed all the locals. What if it was like the Loch Ness Monster or Titanoboa? Or maybe it's something even more terrible and at the same time unknown to science. Alas, scientists have not yet expressed any precise data on this subject, and they can be understood. Still, this monster is almost invisible in the pictures. What can't be said about this clip? Fishermen from Paraguay have captured possibly the first official proof of the existence of the chupacabra. For those who don't know, a chupacabra is a mysterious predator that attacks other animals, especially livestock. Many scientists have been skeptical about the real existence of this animal. Now things may be changing. In October 2015, people managed to pull the ugly body of a chupacabra out of a river. Fortunately for everyone around, this monster was already dead and posed no threat. On the other hand, this can be regarded as sad news. It's much more effective to study a still-living organism. After this report was recorded, there was no news about the chupacabra. Employees of scientific centers have pledged to keep all information secret until an official statement from the management. And what's likely to remain a mystery forever is the creature from the next clip. Its essence is unlikely to be established, as the author of the video managed to film only bubbles that appeared after the monster was released. Judging by the scale of what's happening, something really huge was hidden under the water. Whales and other giant creatures do not live in rivers. This suggests that the monster is still unknown to the scientific community. Whales catfish. You would know how relieved and overjoyed I was to see this video after a series of mystical incidents. This time, people have caught a perfectly explainable and, most importantly, scientifically known fish called catfish. Common catfish are large underwater creatures in their own right, growing up to 16.5 feet in length and weighing up to 880 pounds. However, the monster that these fishermen pulled out of the river exceeded all expectations. The catfish of an unknown species weighed more than 1,400 pounds. This mighty creature could only be held by 2 or even 3 people. Conservationists, don't worry, no one planned to take this humongous creature with them and use it for profit. The giant was released back into the wild after a few photos. Well, while you continue to marvel at the boundless imagination of Mother Nature creating such incredible fish, I'll tell you a few curious facts about catfish. In the circles of fishermen and ordinary people in principle, there's a misconception that all catfish are scavengers. In fact, this is only partially true. The main food of catfish at an early age of development are small crustaceans, fry, and aquatic insects. At a more mature age, depending on the food base, catfish may prefer fish and other freshwater animals with mollusks. Moreover, history knows of cases where catfish have even attacked waterfowl and small pets. If this information makes you feel uneasy too, I recommend avoiding evening water walks, as catfish are one of the main nocturnal predators. Although, it doesn't make much difference what time to swim in a river or lake. If not an ordinary catfish, then the alligator gar will be ready to spoil any holiday of uninvited guests. Just look at this creature that fishermen have managed to catch. It's not just big, it's gigantic. I'd say abnormal. I used to think that such large fish could only live somewhere far away in the seas and oceans, but the alligator gar shattered my hopes for a peaceful future. This river monster inhabits standing or sluggish bodies of water, as well as quiet backwater backwaters of large rivers with brackish or salty water. I have no idea how brave the fishermen who catch it must be. There are such people, and there are quite a few of them. The alternative name of our guest is alligator pike. According to comments of experts, it appeared on the Earth more than 100 million years ago. They say that this is one of the largest freshwater fish. Its length can reach almost 10 feet, with a weight of over 280 pounds. Such dimensions, judging by the fact that it's more than 100 million years old, are considered ideal for a fish. With their help, it survived all kinds of cataclysms and successfully thrives today. The creature is called armored not for nothing. It's clad in a 2-layer armor of strong scales covered with enamel. Thanks to its armor, our guest can hunt even near the shore without fear of getting hurt on the rocks. The second feature of the alligator gar is, of course, its ability to breathe air. Its swimming bladder is connected to the esophagus and acts as a lung. Moreover, sometimes this fish climbs out on land. Well, as a bonus to everything else, the alligator gar received a terribly powerful mouth from nature with several rows of hooked teeth. This fish doesn't care who's in front of it. It can tear its enemy apart anyway. Oh yes, I almost forgot. The hunting principle of our guest is the same as that of the alligator that it's named after. It prefers to pretend to be a log or just hide underwater, wait for the right moment, and in one clear jerk, attack the potential victim. With such dimensions and with such a monstrous mouth, there's literally no chance to escape from such an attack. The Australian lungfish. This is exactly what the fishermen in the following video managed to catch. To say that it was not easy is not doing it justice. To catch this river monster, people had to use all the equipment they had at their disposal, and the result was definitely worth it. After long and hard hours of fishing, the people in the video finally pulled this Australian endemic out of the water. The Australian lungfish is considered not a small fish. It grows up to 5.5 feet and weighs up to 88 pounds. Take it from me, the main feature of this fish is not in its size. The Australian lungfish is a fish with lungs, or rather it has no lungs as such, it has a modified swimming bladder. In other fish, it's responsible for the position of the body in the water. But in fish like the Australian lungfish, it's lavishly braided with blood capillaries. The fish swallows atmospheric air into this bladder, and the capillaries suck oxygen into the bloodstream. Our lungs work exactly the same way. Fish with such characteristics are called lungfish, and our hero is no exception. This big guy, shrouded in armor of scales, leisurely, and in some places even lazily, walks around the waters of Australia. It's said that it walks on the waters with the help of haired fins. Due to them, the fish saves energy and almost crawls along the bottom. The only thing is that our guest surfaces to swallow atmospheric air about once an hour. The Australian lungfish eats practically everything it meets on its way. However, those are invertebrates that form the basis of its diet. Meet another river monster whose name is the Nile perch. You're looking at a representative of a species of ray-finned fish distributed in all major river systems of tropical Africa. It was there in one of the rivers that it was caught and also captured on video. As you can see, the fish was really huge. By the way, the maximum recorded size of the Nile perch is 6.5 feet and 440 pounds. Yes, our specimen was several times smaller, but it was still amazed with its size. As you understand, hunting a Nile perch is quite extreme. It's very dangerous to drag one out of the water, especially if we're talking about a fisherman. Locals are so afraid of these fish that there are legends of man-eating perches among them. Maybe it's true, or such rumors may be spread purely for the safety of fishermen, so that they wouldn't think of hunting these fish in principle. 100-year-old sturgeon. What's your idea of a 100-year-old sturgeon? In 2022, a fisherman from the Canadian province caught a 100-year-old sturgeon, and this is how this monster looked like. To say it was full of energy is an understatement. According to the man, he fought with this giant for a whole hour. He tried to hook it this way and that, from one side and the other. He used all sorts of tricks that he'd learned over the years of fishing, but all attempts were in vain. Most likely, the fish would have gone its way if it hadn't been for the Canadian's partner. He rushed to help. They managed to get the anomalous sturgeon out of the river together. They took pictures, filmed it on video, and released it back into the wild. Chinook salmon. Do you know the name? It is, by the way, the name of a widespread species of anadromous fish in the salmon family. I'll tell you more. They're the largest of the Pacific salmon, with an average size of up to 3 feet. Although the largest individual of this species was 8.1 feet long and weighed just over 134 pounds. Look at this creature and imagine it was almost 8 feet long. It's terrifying, isn't it? Externally, Chinook salmon is not very different from other salmon fish. It's silver with black speckles on the back. zodiac. Characteristic features can be recognized only by an ichthyologist. Our guest does not tolerate a warm environment, so it lives exclusively in cold seas. However, the fish is spread everywhere in the north. Curiously, many nations have grown so fond of it that they've begun to value Chinook salmon meat even higher than gold. And you know, people respect these fish for nothing. During the study of their ways of life, it was found out that for the sake of spawning, they're able to go up the rivers for colossal distances of up to 2,500 miles. The Chinook salmon can overcome the most turbulent currents with its powerful chest. It carves out a place for eggs in large cobbles with its equally powerful tail. The next discovery was made in the Mekong Delta in southwest Vietnam. People managed to catch a giant barb. And no, that's not my characterization of the fish, that's its real name. The Siamese carp, or giant whisker, is a species of large herbivorous fish that's common in the Mekong, and Chao Phraya rivers of Indochina. This river monster usually lives at considerable depths near the banks of large rivers. Depending on the season, they may be found in canals, flood flows, and lakes. The exact length of these fish is not definitely known. It's said that they can grow up to 10 feet in length and weigh around 660 pounds. I don't know how big the fish in our video was. In my opinion, it was clearly above average. Can you imagine how much effort it took the fishermen to pull such a giant out of the water? It's lucky that the effort paid off. It's not uncommon in fishing for a fisherman's catch to be taken by someone else, someone big, toothy, with a tough skin and the strongest grip. I'm talking about alligators, of course. In April 2021, a man was fishing, and after many hours of persistence, he finally felt the catch. He was overjoyed and started to hook the fish. However, he saw someone following him out of the corner of his eye. That someone was a huge alligator. Poor guy never caught anything that day. According to him, every time he cast his rod into the water, it was chased by a predator. And how could the man have the courage to stay in the water for an hour and play with this toothy creature, hoping for the best? Was he really so sure that the alligator would not attack the boat? You know the alligator is the sweetest and kindest underwater inhabitant you can meet against the background of our next guest. It happens that fishermen hunt real piranhas. This time, the daredevils pulled out of the water a black piranha that can reach 16 inches in length and 6.5 pounds in weight. The piranha is an active predator, feeding on fish, arthropods, and small reptiles along with mammals. Because of this kind of omnivorousness, scientists believe these mega piranhas have spread so widely. Why do I call them mega piranhas? Well, it's really quite simple. It's because of their fearsome and large appearance. You know, as it's usually the case, looks can be deceiving. Despite their intimidating appearance, these piranhas are considered less aggressive than others. Some adventurers even dare to keep these monsters in their aquariums. Amazon river dolphin. This river dweller is unlikely to be kept in captivity. The Amazon river dolphin is considered the largest river dolphin in the world. The length of adults can reach 8.2 feet with a mass of up to 450 pounds. As a rule, Amazonian dolphins are kept alone or in pairs. Less often, they can be found in a group of 3 to 6 individuals. But this does not prevent them from making a fuss and eating more than 22 pounds of fish every day. The giant of our guests is extremely varied, and according to scientists, it even includes piranhas. No one can hide from the gaze of an Amazon river dolphin. If necessary, it's ready to dig out a victim, even from under a thick layer of mud. The ocean is full of amazing creatures. Stingrays, crabs. You probably didn't even realize that there's a constant feud between them. But why? Keep watching to find it out. Why do crabs hate stingrays? In fact, the answer is simple. Stingrays feed on crustaceans, which include crabs. Plus, the confrontation between these animals is intensifying because of global climate change and observed shifts in marine ecosystems. This footage shows an area inhabited by spider crabs. Until recently, the area was home to a considerable number of sharks. Under their protection, the crabs lived, fed, and reproduced freely and felt at ease. Recently, however, the shark population has decreased by 70%. Every year, amazing things happen in the bay near the Melbourne seaport in Australia. Thousands of spider crabs flood the seafloor. Like stingrays, they're able to camouflage themselves, so it's difficult to spot a single crab. However, when they appear in huge numbers, the movement becomes noticeable. An orange blanket of crabs covers the shallow waters every year from May to July. The larger crabs that can reach 27.5 inches in length and 6.6 inches in width join the cast and move with it on their long legs in search of a shelter for molting. The crabs huddle together to protect each other as the crustaceans begin to shed their old chitin. This is when they become vulnerable to enemies. Their vulnerability lasts until the new shell hardens. It takes time for the new armor to harden, at least a few days are required. It's precisely at these moments that stingrays are waiting for crabs. They know very well that crustaceans that have dropped their shells are completely defenseless. Stingrays do not need to exert many efforts. The seabed is literally teeming with prey, and they, like vacuum cleaners, sweep through the area and suck up as much prey as they can eat. Thanks to a particular sensory organ, ampullae of Lorenzini, stingrays can sense the smallest changes in the electric field of potential prey. These ampullae are located at the mouth of the crab, so the stingray doesn't need its eyes to detect its prey. As soon as they open their mouth, which is at the bottom, and feel an impulse from another living creature, they start capturing crabs that are helpless during the molting period. This abundance of food attracts crowds of stingrays, causing the crab population to decrease during the molting season. At times, out of several thousand crabs that arrive in the bay, only a couple hundred survive. It's too small even from the point of view of natural selection. The question arises, don't the crabs have defense mechanisms? Or maybe they have an instinctive ability to choose safe places during their molting period? Alas, no. Crabs are absolutely defenseless, and they have nothing to counteract the running of the natural mechanism. But in general, mass movements give them somewhat more protection than individual movement. Crabs climb on top of each other, sometimes forming quite high piles. As a result, those at the bottom or in the middle of the pile are relatively safe. Perhaps this is one of the few protective mechanisms of crab behavior. In general, crabs have sharp claws that they can use to defend themselves. Their reaction to the video camera demonstrates their readiness to defend themselves in case of danger. However, they're quite slow by nature and are still vulnerable to attacks by stingrays. In addition, stingrays are by no means the only threat to crabs. They're also targets for seagulls, seals, dolphins, and even starfish, which have migrated to the bay relatively recently due to changes in the ecosystem. In addition, some crabs that have shed their shells attack their own kind. Indeed, why bother hunting and searching for food when you can always find a source of calories and nutrients nearby? Given these circumstances, it's not surprising that of the tens of thousands of crabs arriving in the bay, only a few survive. As you can see, spider crabs have many good reasons to hate not only the stingrays, but the whole world. The confrontations between stingrays and crabs is certainly interesting, but I find stingrays' battles with other animals, such as sharks, more interesting. Stay tuned to see this and learn even more interesting information about stingrays. Stingray versus shark. Last year, fishermen in the Mexican city of Cabo San Lucas found a young mako shark with a stingray spine sticking out between its eyes. Apparently, the shark had a fight with the stingray, which resulted in the latter's spine piercing its brain. When the spine was removed from the shark's body, it was found to be 7.8 inches long. Mako sharks usually live in deep water and don't hunt stingrays. Some species in Mexico grow to 5 feet wide and weigh up to 220 pounds. These stingrays are hunted only by large sharks. Experts believe that stingrays rarely use their spiked tail even to defend themselves. In addition, stingrays can rarely stand up to sharks since the skin of predatory fish is very difficult to pierce. But in this case, the mako shark paid the price for its aggression. To see a shark fight with a stingray is a big deal because so many conditions have to come together. However, it's still possible, and the following footage proves it. It shows a great white shark hunting a stingray about 30 feet off a popular beach in eastern New South Wales near Sydney. The predatory fish came to the attention of videographer Lewis Lachlan. At first, he was just filming footage of his trip, and then he noticed a shark preying on a stingray. He filmed the predator on video from a drone. The footage shows the hungry shark stalking its prey just 30 feet from the shore. After several unsuccessful attempts, the predator finally caught up with the stingray and disappeared into the depths. It's worth noting that at this moment there were many surfers on the beach. After what he saw, Lewis called the Coast Guard and warned that there was a shark near the shore. The man was thanked for his vigilance, and Lewis himself was left with unique footage, which he soon shared on the internet. The biggest stingray. Stingrays have virtually no enemies other than large aquatic predators and humans, and sometimes get truly incredible catches. In 2011, famous British fisherman Jeremy Wade, who hosts the TV program River Monsters on Discovery Channel, caught the largest and most dangerous river stingray in his life. The short-tailed river stingray weighed a record 280 pounds. That was a real monster. The courageous fisherman had to fight the fish for 2 hours to get the stingray to the bank. He tied the fish to the boat, pulled it to the shore, and could only see the size of his trophy there. Jeremy admitted that this was the most tiring fishing trip and the most dangerous catch of his career. But even Jeremy's catch isn't the limit. The largest stingrays in the world are the manta rays, which are staggering in size. They reach 29.5 feet in width, and their weight is sometimes 4,400 to 6,600 pounds. In Spanish, the name of this fish is translated as blanket or cloak. Indeed, if you look from below at the manta ray floating by, it seems that a real magic carpet floats over you. Due to their impressive size, manta rays need a lot of food. However, despite the presence of 16 rows of teeth, manta rays are unable to cause harm to humans because they feed exclusively on tiny fish and plankton. Their teeth are necessary for good filtration of zooplankton. But don't underestimate this huge stingray because due to its love of jumping, it can be somewhat dangerous. When this huge fish soars over the water and then flops down on the water surface, the roar of the fall is heard for several kilometers. Often these giants are called devilfish. This is due to the presence of unusual outgrowths at the front of the head resembling horns. In fact, it's just head fins, but in a slightly transformed form, helping the stingray rake up fry or plankton. Despite their appearance, manta rays are kind and peaceful creatures. If they're capable of causing harm to humans, it's only due to human carelessness. And what about dolphins? Who are they feuding with? You won't believe it, but sharks are actually afraid of dolphins as crabs are of stingrays. You'll learn about this further. Dolphins are large creatures, which have rather sharp teeth. But the teeth of an average dolphin are nothing compared to the terrifying mouth of, for instance, the great white shark. Nevertheless, the great white shark does not like dolphins and even is afraid of them. And the first reason for this is the number. By nature, sharks are loners. They swim in the ocean on their own, rarely forming a group, and even then do so mostly in the mating season. Dolphins, on the contrary, prefer to travel the ocean in groups and also maintain family ties. For instance, if a shark decides to attack a baby dolphin, and at this moment there's parents, they'll certainly severely chase the offender away, even without looking at the fact that it's dangerous and to the predator. The same applies to weak and old individuals, which dolphins try to keep an eye on. This is the main reason why sharks are afraid of dolphins. Dolphins rarely provoke conflicts, usually it's sharks that start it first, but in this case they take the risk and can get it. Dolphins swoop down on a shark in a huge group, chase it, exhaust it, and then often get rid of it, but it also happens that they just let it go. Agility and speed. In addition to group strength, dolphins have individual qualities that sharks have to put up with. Dolphins are much more agile and faster than sharks. The dolphin's incredible jumps alone are worth a lot. Under favorable conditions, the dolphin can jump to reach 16 feet. Sharks can only dream about it. Also, dolphins are very nimble creatures. They can quickly change the trajectory of movement, cut corners, and just move very fast. Some dolphins can reach speeds of up to 37 miles per hour, and they can swim 109 yards faster than Usain Bolt runs it. Of course, sharks are also not the slowest creatures, but still, on the totality of factors, they can be called clumsy compared to dolphins. This is another reason why the toothed predators are so afraid of these clever mammals. Speaking of intelligence, developed intellect is another reason why dolphins are disliked by sharks. The fact that dolphins are highly evolved creatures is probably known to everyone, and it's really so. Dolphins are able even to answer questions, and that was proved by special equipment. Also, dolphins have their own language of communication, and their everyday vocabulary is almost as good as that of humans. Finally, dolphins learn very well, experience the whole range of emotions, and are even able to recognize themselves in the mirror. That is, they have a sense of self-perception. Dolphins use their sharp mind well in practice. For example, when they fight with a shark, they make competent and precise strokes. Dolphins hit the shark's body with their powerful beaks, do it with a rush, and meaningfully hit the gill slits, the shark's most vulnerable place. It's like the solar plexus in a human. It shows that dolphins know how to inflict damage and fight smart. Such an opponent would be feared not only by sharks but by anyone in the world ocean. Thus, dolphins deal with sharks that are a danger to themselves or their congeners. But it's also known that dolphins help representatives of other species, including humans. However, everything is not so unambiguous. Many scientists believe that dolphins are far from being as kind and simple as they seem, and that they don't actually save people. In their opinions, dolphins can swim up to people who are drowning or in danger, but only out of curiosity. Dolphins can even let themselves be grabbed with their hands, but this can't be called a real rescue. Dolphins are driven by instinct, and having convinced themselves that the person's inedible, they leave them. In any case, that's not really the point right now. Moreover, there are some videos on the internet in which dolphins rescue people from sharks. In such cases, dolphins act in the same way when they just attack sharks, driving them away from their congeners. Helping a human, dolphins usually surround them and form a protective barrier. After that, they may start to chase the shark away or even hit it. But it also happens that the shark, realizing there's nothing it can do, simply swims away on its own. So maybe dolphins don't save people from drowning, but they can protect them from sharks. Scientists believe that dolphins can be considered one of the most reliable bodyguards in the ocean. So if a person's in danger and there are dolphins nearby, they can't worry. Something terrible. Who do you picture when you hear about river monsters? I'm sure many people think of relatively well-known, though dangerous creatures like piranhas. But still, the one the fisherman in this story caught is beyond all comprehension. In front of you, I don't even know what it is. It's either an abnormal snake or a mutated fish. In general, it's a real monster, which could only be pulled out of the river with the help of a miracle and high technology. I think this creature is definitely one of the most dangerous fish in the entire aquatic system. This is evidenced by its toxic red color, its giant razor-sharp teeth, and even its tongue, which it used to eat its tasty river prey every day. Do you think this story of the fisherman could be real? Or does the monster look too unrealistic? Share your thoughts in the comments. Muskie. And this is definitely a creature already known to science, the muskie, which is considered the largest representative of the pike's family on the planet, as well as a pretty rare freshwater fish. The monster has a rather cunning and dangerous appearance, which is fully justified by its behavior. The muskie prefers to blend in with its surroundings, for which it uses a leopard pattern of brown-green color. The camouflage would be perfect if the body did not grow up to 5 feet in length and the weight didn't exceed 66 pounds. Such a large size almost immediately makes it almost invincible predator. After all, there's simply no inhabitant comparable to this pike in terms of size in its waters. However, it's important to keep power. At any moment, someone that wants to overthrow the pike may appear. The pike understands the responsibility and holds onto it with its teeth almost literally. And it was also for this reason that it came up with a special way of hunting. If someone is shorter than it by at least a third, the pike eats it. That's how skillfully and uncompromisingly the muskie deals with its opponents. Even people who are much larger than this pike are bitten by this predator. Despite such not the most pleasant news, fishermen are not frightened by this information. On the contrary, this only adds to the excitement and desire to be the first among friends who managed to catch such a majestic creature. Are you out of your mind? I think that's the question this man in the kayak was asked by a predator in the river, which you'll see later. Until it shows up, take a guess. What animal might be out there? Hurry up and write your options in the comments. Yeah, you got it right. It was an alligator. All right, I'll take the word crocodile as well. Alligators have been in rivers for a long time. There's a reason these creatures are considered ancient. Their first species appeared tens of millions of years ago. The largest alligator which has ever been recorded was about 20 feet long and weighed about a ton. It's hard to imagine because the size is comparable to a real car. What else makes these creatures unique is exactly how their sex is determined. It's not a complete randomness, as it is with humans. It's all about temperature. At temperatures above 93 degrees Fahrenheit, males hatch. At temperatures below 86 degrees Fahrenheit, females hatch. And at intermediate temperatures, both can hatch. But what both have in common is their hunting styles. All alligators are incredibly fast, but at the same time their stamina is bad. They also have eyes that glow in the dark. Due to the fact that they're on top of the head, it looks incredibly creepy from the outside. That's it for today. What from this episode impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.